So today we are going to be covering a somewhat controversial topic. These are my personal tips on using this, the Ouija board. A lot of people will tell you that you should not use a Ouija board. A lot of people will say that it's the most dangerous spiritual tool that you can use when investigating the paranormal, but I do not believe so. You can definitely use the Ouija board in a safe way, but you just have to be careful in how you do it, because I have heard a lot of stories about Ouija boards that have led to bad events and a lot of negative energy coming from the Ouija board. I've felt it. I've made contact with the Ouija board, but here are my tips on using the Ouija board. Real quickly, the Ouija board was introduced commercially in the year 1890 by a guy named Elijah Fold. He was an entrepreneur and he wanted to, he was an entrepreneur who wanted to provide a tool that all the spiritualists in the late 1800s could use to communicate with the dead. It's based on old connection methods that people have used for centuries before the Ouija board was even introduced. This is the actual first time that someone has put it into a product and made it available for mass sale. It's become a fixture in spiritual circles, and a lot of people use Ouija boards. I've used Ouija boards, and 99% of the time they do not work. 99% of the time you're going to spend 45 minutes sitting there, not get an answer, get angry, and throw the board out the window. To me, it's that 1%, that small time when it does work, that makes doing all of this worth it, because it has given me some crazy things. But number one, my number one tip to people is to just be open. Do not go into this expecting a massive whirlwind of answers and to communicate with a demon and to have things go flying off your wall. That's not what's going to happen. Most likely you're going to sit there for a long time in the dark. You're going to get maybe one or two words, and that's going to be it. And even then you might not know that those words were real answers. Maybe it was someone pushing the planchette, maybe it was someone, you know, messing with you. But there are those times when you do it when it really works and you can feel the planchette moving under your fingers, and that's when you know that it's real, when you can tell that no one's fingers are on it. And sometimes you might even lift your fingers off of the planchette while it's moving and it will keep moving. It's those experiences that I kind of seek out, but always keep your open mind open.
Wait, what?
Number two, the way that I always start the Ouija board, I have heard this from a number of mediums and spiritualists that use the board. They always tell me that you should move the planchette in a circular motion and say sort of an invitation to the spirits. The way I always do it, imagine I have a planchette, you move it around, you say, I am now opening a portal, I invite any entities that would like to come through, and please make communication with us. Then you kind of put it in the middle of the board and see what happens. Start asking questions. But it is your choice on what kind of a portal you want to open. I have done it a million times and said I want any type of entity to come through, and usually negative entities don't come through, but they have come through, and they might. You want to be specific and say I only want good energy to come through. I only want to attract good energy with this Ouija board. But sometimes I will play the bad guy and I will say I want negative energy, I want a demon to come through, I want something visceral to happen to me. So if you want that experience, if you're okay with having potential ramifications from a Ouija board, by all means do it. But I'm not personally recommending it, I'm just saying that that's what I do. Number three, do not be rude to whatever entity you are trying to contact. Don't abuse your power, be very polite, ask questions nicely, and you will get responses. But you have to treat everything with respect. It's like you're talking to another person in a room. You wouldn't say, get the fuck over here and talk to me. You would just say, how are you? Why are you here? You know, you're just talking to someone. You just have to imagine it like that. Number four, you want to be patient. This is probably the most important facet of using the Ouija board. You have to be willing to sit there for a long time. I've done Ouija boards for an hour and a half and not gotten a single response. And I've done Ouija boards where you sit down, you put your hands on the planchette, and almost instantly you start getting answers. But most of the time it takes a while for your portal, if you want to call it that, or whatever you're sending out, the energy you're sending out, to reach some sort of an entity that can come through and talk to you. But you have to be patient. It's going to take a while for something to talk to you. It's going to take a while for you to get that answer. And if you give up within 10 to 20 minutes, then you're not really investigating. You're just chasing some sort of fantasy thrill that's not going to happen. My 5th tip, always close the session. When you're done with the Ouija board, make sure you say, I don't want any spirits coming through and attaching themselves to me. I don't want anybody to follow me. You're not welcome here. You need to stay on the other side. Thank you for coming through, but I'm ending the session now. You need to be very firm and tell this energy, whatever it is that has come into your vicinity, that it's not welcome to stay with you. It's not welcome here. This is your world, so stick to it and keep them out. Number 6, you do not have to use the Ouija board in a haunted place to get an answer. A lot of times you can do it anywhere. You can do it in your house, you can do it in a park, you can do it in a hospital, and you will get a response. I did a Ouija board in my own home, which was newly built on top of fresh ground, and we got the name of a Native American warrior, and we looked it up, and I can't remember the exact word that it gave us, but the actual word meant warrior in Lakota Sioux. So that was pretty crazy. I ended up that night going into my bedroom around 3 a.m., locked my door because I was a little freaked out by what we were talking to, and my lamp next to my bed, the actual power cord to that got yanked out of the wall. And I'm not talking it fell out of the wall, it was literally, I'd say 3 to 4 feet away from the socket, like someone had pulled it, and I watched it turn out with my own eyes. I was sitting right next to it, so that was scary. So you gotta be prepared for that, but you don't have to be in a haunted cemetery or an abandoned asylum to do a Ouija board. You could get one right now, put it on top of your computer or wherever you're watching this and do it, and you might get a response. Number 7, I would not personally recommend using a handmade Ouija board, because from all the people that have told me about their Ouija boarding experiences, most of the negative experiences that I've heard about have come from using a handmade Ouija board. Now, I don't know if that's because you using a pen and writing that out on a piece of paper puts your energy into this board and that attracts this entity or this spirit to come through and kind of attach itself to your energy. I don't know if that's true or even a possibility, but it does happen more frequently than if you were to use just a regular Ouija board like this. So if you're gonna Ouija board for the first time, go buy one at Toys R Us and just use this, so be safe. And number 8, this is kind of just a blanket tip to end this, but just be careful, be respectful. A lot of people think that the Ouija board is a very negative, evil tool, but it's not. It can be used to get really good answers and to find out more about maybe an entity that's haunting you, or something that's in your house, or simply for people at home, it gives them a tool to be able to start their paranormal journey. I started out all of this just using a Ouija board in my basement night after night, and eventually bringing it to these haunted places and doing it. So if you're interested in this, and if you're watching this video, that means that you are, I would recommend that you go get a Ouija board and start experimenting for yourself. But you just need to be careful, because it's not bad, it's not negative. I've had tons of really good experiences using the board, heard lots of interesting responses, but there is always that chance that something negative could come through. But that's the same as with every other aspect of the paranormal, going into haunted buildings and asking for an entity to come through, or trying to contact a demon. It's all the same. So just be careful, respect everything and everybody, and have fun while you're doing it. That's the whole point, is to learn more about the other side, what happens when you die, and to have a spooky little bit of fun. Anyways, this is Colin Brown for Paranormal 101. If you guys want to watch our ghost hunting channel on YouTube, the link is in the description of this video. It's the Paranormal Files. Plenty more videos coming soon. I hope you enjoyed this one, and as always, stay spooky.